In this segment, we'll take a look at how profiles work so that you can render realistic doors and drawer fronts inside of CabinetSense. CabinetSense has a Profiles toolbar that allows you to easily create and maintain your existing profiles. These are the several profiles that come along when you install the components from CabinetSense. Okay, let's take a look at it from the top down. Get out a 3D view. There are 4 parts to any profile: the outside profile, inside, and down here is a panel. There's also a molding profile. So let's take a look at an example that has molding as well. As long as you realistically size your profiles, they will render very realistically on your models. We have an outside profile, we have the inside profile, a molding, and our panel. There's a few rules that you have to obey when you're creating your profiles. First rule is outside, inside, and panel. The bottom line must always be on the red or x-axis. If you try to move it off that axis, you'll get an error. It does not matter where along the x-axis you position your outside profile. Your inside profile, however, the right bottom hand side must be on the xy axis, and your panel must be on the bottom left hand corner is on the xy axis. And your molding can be situated anywhere. It will render it exactly the way that you've seen it, that you position it on your profile. Okay. To use a profile, let's say I've just drawn these and I want to create it and save it now. You click on the face and then you click on the appropriate button. So this one's our outside profile. There's our inside, our molding, and our panel. But before I click on panel, I'll just unclick it, and you can tell I've now assigned faces to 3 of the profiles. I'll click on the panel, and I can now save it and give it a name. I'll call it test. If we now click on our open, we have our test down there as well. And depending on what option you have of CabinetSense, if you're using the CNC version, the profile has now been saved in your CNC machining database. If you're not using the CNC machining database, your profiles are stored in a profiles folder. When you download the components for CabinetSense, you will get basically this kind of information. You'll get the library components, a database folder, handles if you want to switch handles, profiles, and templates. If you look at your profiles, there is a profile parts model that you can use to create your own profiles. And it has a smattering of profiles, edges, panels that you can use to create your own. So let's just throw one together. We'll take a round over. Again, I'll situate it on the XY axis. I'm going to make this my outside, so I'll just pull it to the left hand side. Let's use this one as our inside profile. Again on the XY, but this time, because it's an inside, let's just flip it. And again, it's on the XY axis. Let's take a panel. And there's our 3 pieces. Outside, or inside, our panel, and now the save button highlights. And in order for you to save, you have to have an outside profile and a panel. And if you don't have an inside, it just assumes the height of the panel, the height of the inside is exactly the height of the outside, and it'll square it off. Okay, let's call this test. That, because we've already saved one already, it knows that and is asking us if we want to overwrite. Let's just overwrite it. That is basically it. A few tips when you're creating. If you're going to create arcs, create an arc with segments of at least 30, and you'll get a nice smooth edge when you render the profile on top of your doors. If you keep the default of 12 segments, you're going to see a bunch of extra lines when CabinetSense profiles your doors. The other thing to notice right here on my panel profile, where it comes up to the very top, CabinetSense is going to fill to the right in as much as is needed for the door or door front that you're doing. And the reason why I've got such a skinny line here is that CabinetSense, when it draws it, it can't smooth these two edges, so you're going to get a line on each side. And having such a narrow part, you won't be able to distinguish. It'll look like one solid line. Okay. To finish off the segment, you can go in and select for this door that we want to use. Let's use our test one. Now that I've assigned it to the door, I can use this icon, which is on the Profiles menu. It's also on the CabinetSense toolbar menu, and it renders your profile. And CabinetSense is actually drawing you a door, and that door is non-scalable. So if I do this and I scale my cabinet, it's no longer scaled properly. So to rescale it, simply unclick and reclick, and CabinetSense redraws it. That's it for this segment.